We have Amazon earnings. We have Microsoft earnings. We're still waiting for Meta, and we have Google earnings. What do you want to talk about first?
Oh, we have Meta too.
We
Um,
do? Maybe I
yeah,
need to refresh my page. Or do you want to share your
it
screen?
sure. Yeah, go for it. I can pull it up here. So yeah, there's we can do it in the same order that they appear on Earnings Hub if you want. So Amazon looks like they beat revenue by 2% and beat EPS by almost
Wow.
70%. And I suspect that has to do with some one-time events because you that's a huge beat on EPS.
Right.
Um,
They are down 1% after hours.
they're down 1%. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, Meta beat revenue by just over 1% and EPS by 9.6%. Pretty substantial beat on EPS. Okay, beat on revenue. What are they doing after hours?
They are down 6.5% after
Okay, so
hours.
this is going to be a rough earnings season, it sounds like. Here's Google. Google beat top line by 5.6%. That's a pretty impressive beat because 5.6% on Google's numbers is beating revenues by 5 billion. Pretty
Billions,
substantial.
yeah.
Yeah, pretty substantial beat. And then EPS, holy macro here, beat by 92%. And unless that's a one-time impact, that is an unbelievable beat there. So what's Google
And
doing after hours?
they are up 3.5%
Okay.
after
So
hours.
pretty awesome there. And then Microsoft beat revenues by 1.8, EPS by 4.9. Um, okay beats on both. So I suspect if I had to guess, I'd guess that Microsoft is probably down a little bit.
Yeah, they're down a little less than 3%
Okay. So the
after
only winner
hours.
so far is Google, huh?
It's Google.
Very,
Unclear to me why Google made such a big move. I mean, the EPS beat was huge, but it seems like with something like that, it would be one off.
yeah. Hmm. Although it is kind of retreating, it looks like a little bit. But yeah,
Yeah.
uh, super interesting. What are your thoughts on the results so far?
I mean, I love to see the beats. Especially with these larger companies that really drive the entire market. Even if I wasn't invested in them, and in this case, I'm invested in three, I'm invested in all of them except for Microsoft. Um, but even if I wasn't invested in them, I would want them to be beating results because it's just a good sign of a healthy overall market.
Yeah.
Um, what are your thoughts on this? And do you think we should do like do we have the meta slides yet?
Let me
Because
let me check.
we have the report, I think, because we could always do a breakdown if we had it.
Let me look for it real quick. We have the report. Yeah, I don't see the slides.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the percent change, holy cow, on revenue for Meta, by the way, is 33% growth. So they went from 42 billion last year to 56 billion this year. 33% growth. That's even accelerating their growth rate, which seems phenomenal to me. Income from operations went from 17 billion to 22 billion, a growth of 30%. So again, phenomenal growth. And net income went from 16 billion to 26 billion, 61% growth. Um, on that just seems unbelievable, actually.
Right.
I think the expectations might have been extremely high, and they still beat it. But I don't know what people are expecting that the revenue or that the stock price would be down after this kind of um, these kind of results. So yeah, that's pretty shocking.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the market was hoping that they would have better guidance as opposed like their guidance is meeting expectations as opposed to uh, beating expectations.
Yeah.
But it's always hard to explain why the market does what it does.
Yep. With Robinhood, it was a little bit more understandable. They did miss. There was 15% year-over-year growth as opposed to that significant. They've been growing at a much faster rate historically. But Robinhood's business is more lumpy, right? It's affected by macro events. It's directionally they're going in the right direction, but sometimes they'll have a quarter of 70% growth, another quarter of 15% growth, right? Whereas with Meta, the growth seems to just be super consistent and accelerating. So, in fact, let me see if I can pull up Meta's historical revenue here. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. Yeah, if we look at this sort of like, here's a 10-year chart of Meta, you can kind of see how crazy this growth rate is, which is like phenomenal relative to last year. So this is a $56 billion quarter. Last year was 42 billion. So you got to compare each one of these bars to 4 bars ago's, to 4 bars previous from it, because every Q4 they have these sort of like exceptional bars because of holidays, right?
Mhm.
So this is incredible growth on Meta's performance. Let's see if we did Google. What does that look like? Yeah, Google's growth is also pretty phenomenal. It's 109.9, almost 110 billion compared to 90 billion. That is a growth of about just over 20%, maybe 22%. So Meta is still beating Google in terms of growth rate. I stick with my I'll stick with my sort of Meta is better than Google stance based on the growth rates alone. So yeah.
Do you think if Meta is still down 6.5% by tomorrow, you end up buying more, or are you happy with the current position you have?
I have a pretty substantial position in Meta, and like I think at this point, the position that I'm most uncomfortable with is my cash position. So I think I'm gonna try to resist the urge of buying more shares, as I definitely didn't resist that urge when I bought more Robinhood at 91,
Mhm.
and then again more at 80 and at
I
70.
warned you.
But you did warn me. But I'm going to resist the urge to buying more, because in the short term the market can be irrational for a long time.
Right.
And I shouldn't even say short term. Market can always be irrational for quite some time. But I'm comfortable with the amount of Meta shares that I own, and I've added to it in the 600s and 500s most recently. So feel pretty good.